Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Hope you're all well. Today, working on my own car, my Volvo C30 T5. So I'll show you the engine bay because it has something that not many cars have really. So if you know what you're looking at, that there is the LPG conversion injectors, filter, some parts of the LPG there. Down there actually, and yeah, so it has the LPG conversion which came with a car like this. I never done it myself, but it works. I literally topped up the LPG tank the other day and it was £1.13 or 14, something like that, a litre, versus your petrol, so much cheaper. To be fair, last year this time round it was around 88 pence, maybe the year before that could have been, because I don't really top it up all the time. I don't use it a lot, to be fair, but now I started using it much more. On the emissions it is so much better as well, so yeah, it doesn't smell as bad. But that's not what I'm here to do today, even though there is an issue with that, which I think just needs servicing. But I don't know how to service it because I've never worked on an LPG system before. So I might have to find a specialist who knows what they're talking about. To be totally fair, I can't really see it being so difficult. But I don't know what I'm looking at, so I wouldn't take the chance. And I mean, I can see some filters physically, like this one. That's a filter there, and there's some kind of code on it written underneath. So it is there, and it can be probably found. But I'll have to look into that one and see if I can find it. I mean, there's some kind of heat exchange thing just there, that black thing, box looking thing there. That's definitely some kind of a, it says Genius Max, which I'm assuming could be the, maybe it's the brain for it. Don't know. If you know more about it, let me know in the comments. That'd be interesting. And if you know any specialists or whatever local to me, I'm in Cheshunt, Hertfordshire. Don't mind travelling a little bit for the right person and the right service, so I can get it checked out properly and make sure it's all working as it should be. And I'm also debating whether to remove it or not, to be honest. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. What I'm here to do now is to replace my battery, because I plugged in my I always have my OBD reader plugged in and it's connected to my phone, so I always keep an eye on what's going on with my car. Most of the time, depends on where I am. So it was when I had my diagnostic tool in, I actually plugged in my actual auto into it, just so that I can see some of the parameters and stuff, like your O2 sensors and whatnot. Even though the phone does show the app, but it's more accurate, and I prefer the way it's laid out on the actual auto tool, so I've done it through that instead. Anyway, it was showing that the voltage was slightly on the low side, so I took out my battery tester, tested it out, and even though it shows that the voltage was okay-ish, it was below what I would expect it to be slightly. And the cranking amps weren't 100%, and even though state of charge was 100%, it still didn't seem like the lifespan was around 59%, which to me is just not enough. So I thought, sod it. Went to Car Spares in Cheshunt, wicked boys in there, shout out to them. He sorted out me a battery straight away, Napa brand, and I'm just going to swap that over now. And the fault code that popped up earlier was a fuel pressure sensor fault code. So on the parameters of my application on the, what's it called? Talk app, that's it. Talk Pro app, that's connected to the car. I could see that the fuel pressure was actually around 60. At one point it was around 90 psi, which is stupidly high. So which means either the fuel pump is the issue, or fuel pressure regulator, if there is one on these cars, which I don't think there is. I think there's just simply just a pressure sensor, which I'll show you where it is. A little bit sort of buried, and it's that grey looking thing there. Ouch, that's hot. I've already replaced that really, but it was an aftermarket part, which I wonder if it has gone wrong. So it's possible that I might have to replace that anyway, with a maybe genuine item, and see if that works better. Otherwise my fuel pump is most likely on its way out. On these cars I don't think there is a filter. It's a lifetime filter, and it's built into the actual fuel pump, which is in the tank. And to get to the tank, it's so easy job. No, it ain't. You got to remove the subframe, the rear subframe, and it sits above that. So yeah, great. I'm not looking forward to that one. But to be fair, I was thinking of removing that whole lot anyway, and replacing the whole subframe with a reconditioned one that's already been heat treated, paint treated, and whatever else, because it's really rusty. And also, while I'm there, I might as well change all the bushes, and it just becomes such a big job, which I don't want to do. Not at this moment in time. I just want a reliable car to drive. You know, I don't want to do any work on it if I could help it. Anyway, so the plan now is to replace this battery, keep an eye on the fuel pressure, see what's going to happen with that, and then go from there really. So that is part of my plan. Anyway, let's just swap the battery and go from there. Whoop, whoop. So let me just show you my new battery and the old battery. This is the old battery. It's definitely old, you can clearly see it. It's been there for a while. I mean, it's been there since I bought it, that's for sure. And there's the new battery, which is a Nabha brand. This is a 680 cranking amps battery, 721AH. And if you look at this one is 680 cranking amps, 74AH. So it's slightly more, it has a bit more AH in. So it's a little bit better, but as far as the cranking amps go, it's exactly the same. Voltage is exactly the same, so no problems there. So yeah, let's swap that over and see what happens. Whoop, whoop. So I thought I might as well show you how to test the batteries. This is the little tool that I use, and you can test 3 things on it. You just switch off the light. You can test the battery, the starter motor, and the charge. So we're going to test the battery first. So if you look on the battery, every battery will say how many cranking amps it has. On this occasion it's 680. So you have to input that to this little tester. We go for the standard test, regular battery, cranking amps, make sure engine is off. Actually, yeah. So just switched off the engine just to make sure, well, ignition actually. 680 cranking amps, that's what it's set to because that's what it was on last. And testing. So even though it's saying it's great, it's actually showing more weirdly than earlier on. The battery itself, voltage is 1209, and I would have preferred that to be a little bit higher. So interestingly, the life here, earlier on it was around 59%. So now state of charge has gone down to 52, even though earlier on it was 100%. And the cranking amps have gone up to 635. Earlier on it was around 550, 580 ish. So resistance, to be fair, I didn't check earlier on, but going by those results, I'm glad I'm changing it, because it's clearly there's something wrong, something's not right with it. It seems to be up and down quite a lot. So that's why I'm happy that I'm replacing the battery. So yeah, that's normally how I test the batteries with this little gadget. It's pretty accurate most of the time, but you do have to test it a few times just to be on the safe side, just so that you get a few readings and compare them and go from there. Yeah, whoop whoop. So I've now replaced the battery. I haven't plugged it in yet. As I was plugging it in, terminal of a cable come off a terminal, which is something aftermarket. I don't know if it's part of the LPG or if it's something else, but I'll show you what it is. It's this wire with the fuse on it. Seems like a 10 amp fuse, and God knows where it goes. There is a USB charger in the dashboard, so maybe it's for that, but it was connected to there. I think it's a bit of a crappy place to put it really, and there's a better location place there. So I've got some crimping bits here, so I'm going to use probably that one, because this is a quite thick diameter. Yeah, that should fit on there nicely. Okay, so I'm going to use that, but it's a very narrow cable, or very thin cable, so I'm going to have to double it up to squeeze it in there. I've got my ratchet for the crimping and strippers, so yeah, got to do that beforehand and then connect. So yeah, whoop, whoop. Okay, so after I changed the battery on my car, everything's gone back to normal. No more fault codes. So which means all those fault codes that were just popping up, they were simply related to low voltage coming from the battery. Now I'll show you what my values are for fuel pressure, because that was the issue that we kept on coming up with, saying it had low fuel pressure, and there was about 3 different fault codes on it, and something about some kind of gate being closed. I'll have to look at that later on, which exactly what it was. Anyway, let me spin you around. So this is the fuel pressure here. It's in kPa, but when you translate that to PSI, it works at around 58 PSI, which I believe these should be around 50-ish. So still a little bit on the high side, but obviously after I go out for a little drive later on, I'll know whether it's working okay or not. And if you look at the fuel pump cycle, it's only at 33%, so it's still got plenty to go in the actual fuel pump, so that's not an issue there. The other thing I was looking at was the long-term fuel trim idle is a little bit below what it should be. What else? I was looking at something else earlier. The O2 sensors, that's it. That was the other issue that I had with the O2 sensors. So mass airflow sensor is reading absolutely fine, which is great. And long-term fuel trim load, that's fine. Short-term also, it should switch between the high and low, which is exactly what it's doing. So that's spot on. And this car's actually got a lambda control closed loop on bank 1, which is great. So you can keep an eye on the AFR, like the fuel and air mixture. And here we have the oxygen sensors. So you have the bank 1, which is the one before the cap, and you have bank 1 again. That's weird. Oh, one's rear, one's okay. Bank 1 rear and bank 1 front. And this is only bank 1 because bank 2, as an example, if it was like a V8 or a V6 or straight 6 maybe, it would have had 4 O2 sensors. Therefore it would have been one on one side, one on the other side, so that would have been bank 1 and bank 2. Whereas this is a straight 5 cylinder engine, straight, so it's a 5-cylinder straight engine. Therefore it only has 1 bank, therefore it only has 2 O2 sensors, not 4. So therefore that's a lot of therefore, isn't it? Anyway, so that would be the rear oxygen sensor, and that would be the front lambda sensor. So they're both, I believe, within voltage. even though it's a bit on the low side, but still. So if I give it a little rev, it does actually move around. So other than that, throttle position works fine, still within parameters. So yeah, we're good on that side. And just thought I'd show you that. That was my problem, which I was looking into to see why I kept on getting these fault codes. And the car drove okay, but it was under boosting, strangely. So I was going to look into that, find out why it was doing that. So one simple thing, which was just a battery replacement, seems to have resolved every single issue that I had going. So what I'm going to do now that I had it running for a bit, I'm going to scan the engine control module again, read the fault codes and see if there is any. Basically, no, none at all. Look, perfect, crystal clear. And in fact, I'm going to do a full scan of the whole car again, just to make sure after it's been running if there are any fault codes. And if you look at the top right corner here, you'll see the voltage, which is sitting at 12.54, which is absolutely perfect. Anything above 12.5 is good. Higher the better, really. You can be around 12.7, 12.8, that's even better. So right now it's nearly finished. It's around 88%, 92, and it's almost 100%. Perfect. Nothing at all. Excellent. Nothing come up. I am so happy. Yeah, excellent. Problem solved. A simple battery replacement resolved all of my issues in one go. So it goes to show that you need to keep an eye on your battery, especially in the winter times. That's when they normally go. This battery came with this car, so I don't know how old it is realistically, but when I first bought the car, I did actually do a test on the battery and it come out okay. It was fine. Obviously I've had it for over a year now, I think, maybe something like that. I've had 2 MOTs on it, so it's got to be over a year, isn't it? Maybe a year and a half, something like that. I've had it. So the car has actually been very good until this battery started playing up. That's when fault codes just randomly, they were appearing, like stupid fault codes that you think, what is that? Never heard of it, kind of thing. Anyway, so problem solved on this one, and I'll keep an eye on it. And if I do get any more fault codes, I'll come back, let you guys know, and we'll have to diagnose it further if there are any issues. I know there is an oil leak, and I know it's down to the PCV valve, which on these cars is part of the oil filter housing. It's like complete one unit. I've already replaced it once. However, I cheaped out. And I went for a cheaper sort of eBay option just to see how long it's going to last. And I think it lasted 4 or 5 months, maybe, if that. So I've ordered the original one. Not cheap though. It's like 250 quid or something almost. So that'll be another job that I've got to do again, whether I like it or not. But I just wanted to try it out. Labour don't cost me anything, so it don't really matter, really, to be honest. I ain't that fussed. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Whoop whoop. So, finished off replacing the battery, connected that terminal up as well, and I'll show you what the state of the this new battery should look like, and it does look like actually. So that's just it after a test. See how it just says normal, and look at the voltage, 12.58, and that's the way it should be. It should be much higher than 12.5, and the other one was at 12.08 or 09 or something like that. Resistance is much better. Life is 44.7, however it's not been started yet, so this is just the way it was from the way I bought it from the store, so that's not a big deal. State of charge is 93%, and it's a normal battery, and that's the way it should be. So hopefully this might even cure my random fault codes that just pop up every now and then, because if the voltage of a car is not correct, it's always going to cause issues. Anyway, thank you for watching, and catch you on the next one. Whoop, whoop.